Hi, and welcome to Friday Friends. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Carly, and we're Next Chapter Home Team.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Today we're here with Jen Hill, with Jen Hill Organizing. Thank you for joining us. Do you want to tell us just a little bit about your business?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So excited to be here. So I started my business in May of 2022, and professional organizer, some people know what that means, some don't. So basically anything related to things I can help you with, right? So whether that's organizing, decluttering, creating systems to be more efficient, that kind of encompasses a lot of what I do.
Perfect.
So today we're going to talk about 5 areas to declutter when you're preparing to move. What are 5 main areas you would suggest decluttering first?
Yeah, so these are some good places to kind of start, right? We know that moving is a big process, so this is a great way to just kind of get going and get moving. First, I would say your closets. Out of sight, out of mind, right? You feel me on that? Number 2 would be your kitchen cupboards. And your pantry would be number 3. Pantry and fridge, why bother moving expired food? Don't waste your time. Number 4 would be your clothes. And number 5 are those pesky boxes that were packed from last move that never got unpacked. So pretty simple and makes a huge difference.
Well, especially when you're moving, it's like, what do I move? And you're overwhelmed with how much to move. So let's talk about why you're going to go to closets first.
So closet, they are tricky spaces because things hide. You know, they get stuffed in the back, in the bottom. When you have things decluttered, now you're making your space look a lot bigger. When you have less items in those closets, now when a potential buyer is looking at your home, like, oh my gosh, this closet is huge, right? It has so much space.
Right.
So that's why it's like so important to kind of get some of that stuff out from underneath, you know, the clothes that are hanging down or whatever, you know, dig out.
So how do you determine what to take out of the closet? Let's say it's winter or say it's summer. Is there a method to moving or what to declutter first, or why you would declutter certain things, and then are you taking all of the clothes?
That's a great question. So part of what I do when I help my clients is I ask a ton of questions. So when was the last time you used that item? If it was more than 6 months ago, maybe it's a seasonal item like you mentioned, spring, summer, winter, whatever, but maybe it's just something you don't really need anymore. So if that is the case, then it's time to let it go. Another question you can ask yourself is, would you remember if you even had it anymore? Or would you just go buy a new one? Just kind of asking yourself a lot of those questions and kind of working through that process.
It's a good way to help start the move as well as prepare it for potential buyers to come through.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
And what's another area then to focus on?
Yeah, so the kitchen. Everybody checks the kitchen, whether you're buying, whether you're selling. So again, creating space to make things look bigger. But your cupboards, cups, mugs, the travel cups, they multiply. I don't know how. It's some weird magic voodoo, but they multiply. So even just going through, and if you are looking and you're seeing like, oh, well, I know I just washed that one, I just washed that one, then those are ones that your family is using. If you're like, I don't remember the last time I even saw this one, get rid of it.
So some things are kitchen cabinets, refrigerator, pantry. Don't just shove stuff in there to make your house cleaner.
No, which is our tendency, right? We are out of sight, out of mind. It's a later problem because clutter causes anxiety. And so you don't want to deal with it. But when you are getting ready to move, that is a perfect natural time to just actually evaluate everything that you own and make sure that it's serving you a purpose.
And when we walk buyers through houses too, they're gonna look in cupboards and they're gonna look in closets and they're gonna see, well, what kind of space is in here? And if things are shoved in, they're gonna think there's no space for anything. So those are some things you can start to pack up beforehand because you're not currently using it. It makes it look like there's space in those places.
Well, and then even going back to the whole anxiety thing, if they're opening a closet or a drawer and they're just seeing chaos in there, now this space is just giving them bad feelings, and so they're not going to look at your house as much.
And then you said clothes. What should we do with clothes? Are there methods, rules, stuff for us to kind of know about those?
Yeah, so fun fact is that, and this is proven in so many different things, this isn't me just making this up, we wear about 20% of our clothes 80% of the time. We wear 20% of our clothes 80% of the time. Now, if you think about your laundry habits, and again, as soon as you're doing your laundry, you put those clothes back in, those are the clothes that you are feeling good in, so you're wearing them more often. So if you have items that you don't feel good in, they don't fit, again, they're just taking up space in your closet or your drawers for items that you actually do use.
And what else are we looking at to clean out or declutter before we're moving?
Yeah, so I hate packing, right? It's the worst. And there's nothing even more terrible than having to unpack things that you're like, really, this is garbage. Why did I pack this? So those sneaky cupboards for your pantry and your fridge, before you put anything inside a box to pack it up, check your expiration dates, because those are just easy ones like, oh, that got stuffed in the back, right? So yeah, if it's expired, just get rid of it. It's not worth moving it. And if it's close to being expired, there are plenty of food pantries and areas that you can donate that to, and it will get used, and you don't have to move it. You need to take it there, I guess, but
You just you're not moving it with you.
exactly. Yep. So those are definitely some easy ones to kind of weed out.
Well, and I love that these are some spaces that people think they can put things into while they clear out the rest of their spaces, but really they're things where people are going to look and see, how much space do I have? How do I feel if things are cluttered in these spaces? You do want to think about everything in the house, not just what people can see at first blush.
Mm-hmm. And everybody's different. So when I walk into a house, maybe I'm looking at different things and my husband is looking at other things. And so, that can get overwhelming of like, oh my gosh, every part of my house has to be spotless. But honestly, when you kind of declutter, it just makes such a big difference that you don't have to worry about tucking things here and there because you just have less things.
You have a system of where they go.
Exactly.
I have always been one, if it's not in sight, I forget about it.
Yes.
So I lived my life that way for a long time. But then when my boyfriend and I moved in together, he is definitely, everything has a place, which has been nice because if I don't know where something is, I can be like, oh, where is it? And he knows exactly to the pinpoint, where I'm more like, oh, it's on my desk, under that paper, between this. I have tried to adopt his style a lot more. And so when people come over, we don't have to clean much. It's just like a few toys of the kids and stuff because everything's in its place, or we get rid of stuff we don't need. And it is a lot more less anxiety inducing, and you're not like, oh my God, if someone wants to come over tomorrow, like, I gotta put away all this stuff.
Right. Absolutely. So there's the people that need 3 days notice that someone's coming over, and there's people that need 20 minutes, right? Okay, you know what? I can do a quick cleanup. It might not be exactly perfect, but it looks clean
Right.
and decluttered. Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh man. So then the last part is those boxes that are packed from last time. Now, I know sometimes boxes just get shoved in places, somebody helps you move and they put something that you didn't think to look. So I don't ever want to just tell you to get rid of the box without looking in it. Who knows? Maybe something important is actually in there. So take the time, do a quick look through, but have the mindset that this is already going. When you already have that frame of mind and not necessarily like, oh, this is all stuff I'm going to keep, you'll be surprised that you're more willing to let it all go.
Well, and depending on when you last moved, if
Right.
you moved 5 years ago and you haven't looked in the box in 5 years,
That's a big indicator.
do you really need to? You probably, it would be me. I forgot, oh, I had this. Or it's like, oh, I knew that was somewhere.
Right,
I just didn't know where for the last 5 years.
right.
You don't need it anymore.
It's a high probability for that, yes.
Right. And I really like the idea of going in with the mindset of that you don't need it, opposed to like, oh, what did I forget that I have?
Exactly.
Because then you're thinking like, okay, what all stuff should I keep?
A lot of decluttering and organizing is all about your mindset and how you're approaching that situation. So yeah, when you're approaching the situation like, oh, this is everything I'm going to keep, it's going to be very hard to get rid of things. But when you're going into that situation of, you know what, I haven't used this in that certain amount of time, this is stuff that I probably don't need every day, you're a lot more willing to let it go, give it to somebody else who you know might need it.
Well, Jen, thank you so much for sharing those tips. And this is not just if you're getting ready to move. Obviously, you can declutter at any time.
Yes.
But when you're moving is a great time to think about decluttering. What do I want to take to the next house, and what really can I get rid of?